Hello, Algebra 2. Here is Solve by Factoring Day 1. Okay. We have Solve by Factoring. Different teachers have different little graphical organizers or gimmicks or whatever you want to call it for solving with factoring, helping to organize it. Here's the one that I use, called the Magic X. Alright, so if we have our ax squared plus bx plus c, we're going to move that c term to the top of our Magic X and the b term to the bottom. And what we're looking for is two numbers that multiply to the c term and add to the b term. Okay, so can you think of two numbers that multiply to 10 and add to negative 7? How about negative 2 and negative 5? Negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. Negative 2 plus negative 5 is negative 7. So we're going to copy those, minus 2, minus 5. We're going to bring them down here in parentheses with x. So x minus 2, x minus 5. Okay? Now, if we were to multiply these out, you should get right back to this. So we go x times x for x squared, minus 5x, minus 2x, that's minus 7x. Negative times a negative is a plus 10. Now here we have two things multiplied to each other equals 0. So we're going to use the zero product property, which says that if two things multiply together to equal 0, one of those things has to be 0. That's the only way you can get an answer of 0 in a multiplication problem, is 0 times something else. So what would make this parentheses group be 0? If x was positive 2, 2 minus 2 would be 0. What would make this parentheses group equal 0? Positive 5. Okay, and that's how we solve with factoring. Okay, we figure out two numbers that multiply to the back number and add to the middle number. We set them in parentheses, and then what makes each parentheses group equal 0? Let's do a couple more together here, and then we'll turn you loose on one or two to try on your own. So we're thinking about what's going to multiply to negative 14, but adds to positive 5. How about positive 7 with a negative 2? Multiply to negative 14 and add to 5. So we're going to go x plus 7, because it was a positive 7, and x minus 2. What makes each parentheses group equal 0? Negative 7 and positive 2. All right. Let's have you push pause and try this one on your own. Okay, let's see how you did. It was going to multiply to 21 and add to 10. How about 3 and 7? And again, these parentheses don't have to be the same exact order. You could have had x plus 7, x plus 3. That does not matter. Negative 3 for our answer and negative 7. Okay? Yeah, you don't have to have these. You could have those parentheses groups flip-flopped. Those don't have to be the same. Just as long as we got the same two answers on the bottom. Slightly bigger numbers, let's see how it looks. So it's going to multiply to positive 77 and add to negative 18. Let's think. 77. How about 7 and 11? Well, that's 77, but that's not negative 18. That'd be positive 18. How about negative 7 and negative 11? That would still multiply to be positive 77, and now that adds to negative 18. And we get answers of 7 and 11. Alright, let's have you try the next one on your own. X squared plus 4x minus 77. Alright, let's check in and see how you did. Multiplying to negative 77 again. This time we're adding to positive 4. Did you go with negative 7 and positive 11? X minus 7, x plus 11. How is that going to make it different from the last one? We still have x equals positive 7, but now we have x equals negative 11. Okay. Ooh-wee, now we got numbers in the front. And then when there's numbers in the front, there's usually a little bit more work involved. Okay. What you want to always check is, so we have a 2x squared. You know what, let's do this one because this is bad handwriting. This was supposed to be minus 27x. This one was supposed to be minus 27x. I tried to save it. It was the bottom of the page. I didn't want to start over. So here we go. If there's a number in the front, the first thing you want to check is, can we divide everything by that number? So we're going to divide everything by 3. And if we can divide them all by 3, pull that 3 out in front. Now it's just x squared. Negative 27 divided by 3 is minus 9x. Positive 24 divided by 3 is plus 8. Okay, so we kind of factored a 3 out of all the pieces. If we would distribute this 3 back in, we would get right back to where we were. Okay, but now this looks just like our other problems. So it's going to be pretty nice to factor. X squared minus 9x plus 8. What's going to multiply to positive 8 but add to a negative 9? Negative 1, negative 8. X minus 1, x minus 8. Now when we're looking at our 3 things times each other here equals 0, does this 3 ever equal 0? No, so we're not going to worry about that. What could this one be that would make it be 0? 1, and this one would be 8. Okay, let's have you try the 2x squared problem over there. And do that same strategy. Ready, set, go. Alright, so hopefully we saw that we could divide out a 2, pull a 2 out in front. Now that's just x squared plus 10x plus 21. And now we're thinking what multiplies to 21 and adds to 10. 7 and 3. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay. And then now we're looking for what makes each one equal 0. And we have our negative 7 and negative 3. Okay, let's turn it over. A couple more to do on the back. I think in class we got through about like 3 or 4 of them. Again, wasn't quite sure how long we'd have, so I just filled up the back page of notes. I think most classes got through 3 or 4 problems. Okay? Now there's a number in the front, and we can't divide it out. I could divide this one by 2, I could divide that one by 2, but I can't divide the middle one by 2. So then what do you do if you can't divide them all by 2? Okay? So it's still relatively the same. We're going to try to find 2 numbers that multiply to something and add to something. Our add 2 number still comes from the middle, negative 1x. Okay, we've still got to add to negative 1. But now, because there's a number in the front, our multiply to number is different. We're going to multiply a times c 2 times negative 6, front times back, to get to negative 12. Really, that's what you were doing on the front side still, just that your front number was always a 1. So 1 times the back was always the back number. So now we're thinking of 2 times negative 6, that's negative 12, negative 1x. We got to come up with 2 numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 1. We got negative 4 with a positive 3. Alright, not that easy. Now we got a little bit extra here. Because we did 2 times negative 6, now we got to divide by that 2. Divide by that 2. Okay? So negative 4 divided by 2. If you can do it, do it. We got a negative 2. So we're going to have an x minus 2 spot. If it's a fraction and it doesn't come out nice, reduce it if you can. You can't. Okay, it's positive 3 halves. We're going to do it this way one time. X plus 3 halves. Now if you notice, we've been saying that these should multiply back. X times x is x squared, not 2x squared. Then we would have plus 1.5x minus 2x. That's minus half x. And that's going to be minus 3, not minus 6. Okay, so the trick is with these fraction ones, that you take the bottom of the fraction, the denominator, and you slide it up in front of x. So now our groups are x minus 2, 2x plus 3. Okay, so we did it that time. We did it that way one time. From now on, you don't have to do it that way. You can just do it from right here. See, oh, I have 3 over 2. I know the bottom number is going to go in front of x, and then the top number was a positive 3, so plus 3. Okay, that's how you can do it. Okay, now we're thinking what makes each group equal 0. X equals 2, that's pretty easy. Now, if you don't know this one just by looking at it, let's set it equal to 0. We can always do that and do a little algebra. Subtract 3, divide by 2, and we have negative 3 halves, or negative 1.5. Okay, how else could we do that? Well, because we did it this way, we should be expecting it to be opposite of this, negative 3 halves. Or opposite of this, negative 3 halves. Or for all of these, if you're just looking at the parentheses, it's always opposite of the back number divided by the front number. Negative 3 divided by 2. Positive 2 divided by 1. Okay, piece of cake. Alright, let's have you try this one on your own, and then we'll do maybe a 3x squared together, and we'll call it a day. Go ahead and push pause and try the 2x squared on your own. Alright, 2x squared, let's see how we're doing. 2 times negative 5 for a negative 10, and then adds to negative 9. Oh boy, let's go with a negative 10 and positive 1. That one is a tricky one. Anytime there's just a 1 involved over there, it always trips me up. It's like one of the last things I think of. Okay, so, yep, negative 10 times 1, negative 10, negative 10 plus 1, negative 9. Okay, our front number was 2, so now we got to divide by 2. This one works out to a nice minus 5. Okay, this one doesn't. Can I reduce it? No. Bottom number goes in front, 2x, positive 1, so plus 1. What are my answers from this? 5, and opposite of the back, divided by the front, negative 1, divided by 2. Alright, so hopefully you got 5 and negative 1/2. Again, those parentheses don't need to be in the same order as mine. Last one, we'll call it a day. 3x squared in the front. Okay, front times back. What multiplies to negative 6 and adds to negative 1? Let's go with a negative 3 and a positive 2. Now we come back and divide by that 3. We have a nice negative 1 there, x minus 1. This one doesn't work out very nice, 2 over 3. So the bottom number goes in front of x. Top number was positive 2, so plus 2. Okay, let's solve them. X equals positive 1, x equals negative 2 divided by 3. Opposite of the back number, so negative 2 divided by the front number 3. Okay, if you don't like that trick, you can always just set that group equal to 0 and solve. Alright folks, there it is. You should have a worksheet available to you. This is day 1 of Solve by Factoring. There's probably not going to be a note sheet for day 2. Day 2 is probably just going to have less of these shorter ones, 1x squared, and it's probably going to have more 2x squared, 3x squared, 4x squared, 5x squareds. Alright, thanks for watching and good luck.